Well, my name is Ariel Imber, and I taught colleges at UALR, OBU, Pulaski Tech, and led High Holy Day and other services for the congregation in Blytheville. May I be frank with you? Okay. All right. Having explained the theories of the greatest thinkers of all time in philosophy and religion, please understand that I would much rather be talking to you about one of them than me. But as I thought about it, and there's plenty of time for deep thinking here, I realized that the thread that runs through my life is teaching people about how rich and meaningful Judaism can be. You know how Shrek describes himself as an onion? You know what I'm talking about? Because why?
And he has layers.
Layers, yes. Judaism is like that too. Lots of layers. And life is really all about figuring out how to live. We're talking about philosophy, what people believe and why they believe it. It's fascinating stuff. Whether we know it or not, we each have a philosophy. You do. You do. Even you do. And it begins to take shape while we're growing up. Parents, guardians do their best to give their children the keys to what they think is important. And this often becomes the road the kids travel. Or not. I chose a different path than the one my father wanted for me, and I never really felt accepted by it. Well, I was born in Chicago on a chilly day in February 1938. The middle child and the only son of Dina and Dr. Elmer Imber. Meryl Sue was 2 years older and Evan was 6 years younger. My parents named me Ariel, though 50 years later when I moved to Arkansas, I decided to go by my Hebrew name, Ariel, because it turned out that the movie star Errol Flynn, who played, you all know Errol Flynn? Who he played? Robin Hood, thank you, yes. He had spied for the Nazis, and I didn't really like that. Still, my mother always called me Ariel. I think having sisters helped me understand girls and realize that they should have the same opportunities as boys, especially in Temple. When Annabelle and I were married in 1990, we broke tradition by each breaking a glass. At most weddings, the man breaks the glass. The Shabbat, following the week I died in 2001, we had been scheduled to do candles and Kiddush that night, but I was going to light the candles while Annabelle recited the Kiddush instead of the usual way. I favored fair treatment for animals too. I was a vegetarian, then later a vegan, and did not wear leather. I was the driving force behind the temple offering vegetarian options. My personal philosophy had more to do with giving than getting. I wanted to help people. And I needed to live a life that was consistent with my values. My father became a dentist because his parents had come from Poland and had decided that he was the one of their 4 children who would get an education. He wanted me to be a dentist too, but I was much more interested in the wisdom involved in learning and teaching than I would ever be in wisdom teeth. Mom's family had immigrated from Romania. She'd grown up living above the store they owned. She hadn't grown up religious and politely declined going to Orthodox shul. Dad, my sisters, and I attended. I loved studying Torah and Talmud, but had trouble understanding how my mom and dad could eat ribs on paper plates at home, as if it was okay to eat something that wasn't kosher, as long as you didn't use your kosher dishes. Apparently, this was a family thing. My Aunt Dora would hide the ham under the bed when Grandpa Imber would visit, as if he wouldn't be able to smell the pork. I'm going to give you some quick snapshots so we don't run out of time. If I wanted to teach, first I'd need to learn. College degree in political science and sociology. Army in Korea as a Jewish chaplain's assistant. Cool job. I got to drive the Jeep. Once we were so deep in conversation, we didn't realize that we'd gone across the DMZ. That means demilitarized zone. I put that Jeep in reverse and nervously backed up. I met my first wife, Barber, in Korea. Her parents worked in the U.S. Embassy. Then we lived in Denver before moving to Israel. We lived there twice. First, I worked for the Israeli Public Housing Authority with new immigrants. Then later, in a moshav, a farming village where different farmers worked together called Kfar Daniel. Our family grew. We had 4 daughters and later 11 grandchildren, all of whom I adore equally. But the marriage ended in 1988. I got a master's in, imagine this, Jewish studies. That led to my spending 22 years working in various positions with B'nai B'rith, the world's oldest Jewish service organization. Then I came to Little Rock to head up the Jewish Federation of Arkansas. That move and some prodding by Jane Mendel brought me to Annabelle, who had converted a year before we met in 1989. I credit her with expanding my spiritual horizons beyond things Jewish. My biggest regret? That Annabelle and I never went to Israel together. She had always wanted to go with me since I had lived there. However, I happen to know that she's been there at least 4 times now, and she loves it. We shared our love of classical music, Jewish learning, and each other for 11 happy years, but sadly, I died of a heart attack at just 63. You know, a person's legacy, what others remember about them after they've died, may be best expressed in the lives they've influenced. My sister Evan appreciated my kindness when she was 5 for sneaking her 4 Oreos after she'd been sentenced to bed without dessert for committing some crime. And my grandchildren and I were extraordinarily close. They called me Grandpa with the beard. And would race home after school so they could hear stories about my trips out west or about my current batch of students. I'd purposely slam cabinet doors to wake them up on Saturday mornings for bagels and very competitive games of chess and checkers. I also hope I was able to influence the many students in my classrooms over the years, just like you all are here as students today. What's your philosophy? And where will life take you? That's worth talking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much.